I've been with Anchor Brewing for a pretty long time now. I started in 1971. It was the best day of my life when I walked in and Fritz hired me. I saw it as kind of a temporary job where I wanted to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And so I'm still figuring that out. But it's been just an unbelievable front seat ride of our whole industry, which you're all part of. It's just been unbelievable. And when I started there, we only made Anchor steam beers. That was it. Our first other beer than Anchor steam beer was our porter. And so now we made our porter. The reporter, without making the story too long, the reporter replaced kind of a phony dark beer. We made dark steam beer. That's a whole nother story. But we started making the porter, and every day we'd have to count the cold box with the beer, and every night we'd have to count the cold box. And one day I said to Fritz, you know, it's a lot easier just making this steam beer. Now we have to inventory all this stuff, and we have to do this and that. And this would have been 1973. Fritz said, well, Mark, he said, I want to make a lot of different beers. He said that down the road, you're going to see many, many small breweries around the United States making a lot of different beers. And I couldn't comprehend that. Now, you have to keep in mind, it's 1973. There was zero craft breweries around. All the beer that was really being drunk in the U.S. was yellow beer. You know, Fritz had unbelievable foresight, and you can see what's happened. Liberty Ale was close on the heels of that. We did Liberty Ale in 1975 because we had the bicentennial of America coming up in 1976, the 200th anniversary of America. Fritz was never one to jump on a bandwagon that everybody else was jumping on. So he did the 200th anniversary of Paul Revere's Rye. and April 18th, 1975. And we named it Liberty Ale. And it almost didn't come to market. Fritz had gone to England and looked at ales, came back, said, we're going to make some ales. He and Gordon McDermott, actually, who has since retired from the brewery, unfortunately. He was a great companion and younger than me, so he could still be working here if he wasn't so lazy. But Fritz and Gordon went off to England, learned about beer making, learned about dry hopping, and came back, and we made the first dry hopped ale in the United States that went on to become Liberty Ale. And when we made it, it's not the same Liberty Ale that we make today. But we were using sugar because in those days especially, English brewers all used sugar. They would come to America and criticize American brewers for using corn, but it was okay for them to use sugar because they'd been doing it for about 200-300 years longer than we had been using corn. So it was tradition. Most British brewers have gone away from sugar these days and are more all malt. And Liberty Ale certainly is all malt these days. But we wanted to do a single temperature mash, add some sugar, and we used Cascade hops, which are really the first use of Cascade hop as an aroma hop. And we made the beer. And then we fermented it, we put it in a cellar tank, and we Kreuzen steam beer, and that's how it's carbonated. And we thought, well, we'll just put in the ales into the cellar tanks a little early, let them finish there to carbonate. Didn't carbonate very much. It's pretty low in carbonation. Fritz wasn't really happy with the flavor, and we almost didn't come out with it. But I think there were a couple of us in the brewery that said to him, look, Fritz, this is a great experiment. You've got to release it. And so he said, okay, and he did. It was only 500 and something cases of the first Liberty Ale. And it was released, as I said, for April 18th, 1975, the 200th anniversary of Paul Revere's Rye. Somebody was nice enough to make a Liberty Ale cake tonight, and they asked me to cut it, and I can't say nothing about it. So that's the story of Liberty Ale. And I'm going to make one cut. And then Mel, who's serving this? You are. I think everybody should have to serve themselves, right? Mel organizes this, so I'm going to serve Mel. I'm going to serve Mel. Do like a corner cut? Is that good for you?
That's great. That's great.
And then we'll let people come serve themselves.
Yes.